And allow me to invite in the room and on the stage Vidnia Saldava, Public Policy Lead for Romania, Bulgaria and Baltics and at Meta, and Tomas Kasprovic, Vice President of Res Publica Foundation. Welcome and thank you for making the time to be with us today. We'll start lightly the conversation because I believe people will join us once we start, and hopefully it will bring some light to this topic. No, once it's a complicated word, or not a complicated word, but everybody can put everything under the metaverse. We had our discussion yesterday about AI. Something similar happened there. So I will take the opportunity to open the conversation with what do we usually put under this umbrella. I don't know, Vidnia, I can start with you. Just describing a little bit, or Thomas, if you want to jump in, just to setting the stage on what we discuss today.
So I mean, I can start.
Yeah.
Start. I should have studied up on my definition of metaverse, but luckily there's so many definitions going around out there. But I think what we're really talking about are immersive spaces where we are collaborating with each other. We're talking about the future of the internet. Let's say if we had text, then we had images or, pictures, then we had video, and now we're looking at having it immersive. So let's say you were learning about the planets. Mm-hmm. A text would be, oh, I really love Saturn, but then an image would be of Saturn. And then you would have a video. And then you could, in the metaverse, actually see, planets moving around you and be able to interact with the teacher or somebody else in that space, including the objects and other people.
It's a new virtual world that we are building. It's a new experience that we are building, and probably around it there are a lot of discussion, and also coming back to our theme today. It's a world of opportunities, I see it, a world of economic opportunities, and we hope to talk about a little bit today. So, Thomas, you are the author of the recent policy brief we discussed even today, Harnessing the Economic Potential of the Metaverse, Opportunities, Challenges and Implications in Central and Eastern Europe. You outline there a set of challenges that can be addressed, at least partially, as you mentioned, by the tools that are currently offered by the virtual space like Metaverse. Could you please give us briefly a better picture on these challenges?
I would love to. You see, our region has a certain set of challenges that we are facing. And those are arising from various underlying issues, like demographics, for example. Mm-hmm. Our societies are aging, our workforce is shrinking, availability of certain services in places is also limited. So now we are facing those problems, and Metaverse is giving us certain tools to deal with them. For example, we see the shortage of teachers, especially in the remote areas, especially in STEM and engineering, programming, and so on and so forth. This propagates certain inequality where the metropolis are in a much better positions. People living outside of metropolis are underprivileged. And here technology gives us a chance of propagating the best education, for example, also outside by using classes created by Metaverse. Certain approaches to this problem were taken, for example, in Latvia, that is offering this sort of instruction to the remote areas with respect to programming and information technology. So that's one set of changes that can be at least partially addressed with Metaverse. Another one is that people that are elderly or growing elderly population, one of the big problems of those people is lack of socialization. They suffer from loneliness. Again, here, metaverse can give this very lifelike interaction to those people and engage them into society and also ease some of their problems, also including, for example, their health monitoring, which can be done on a cursory basis, but also much deeper basis. This is not only limited to the elderly. We have a problem with disabled people that also would like to be productive members of society, but very often are not able to. As we heard today, for example, certain universities would never take a person on a wheelchair because they don't have elevators, for example. So basically, those opportunities are close to them, but doesn't have to be that way. So that's yet another challenge that can be fixed this way. Also, when we are looking at lack of skilled, for example, technicians in some places, those people with some rudimentary knowledge can be assisted and their knowledge can be enhanced with the assistance from somebody else within the metaverse. So here the potentials to address our challenges are very large.
Thank you so much. So it's a new world that we are building in some cases, but this world that we are building, actually it's helping us to solve the problems on the, let's say, real world, not the virtual world.
We hope.
We hope, and I'm looking optimistically as everybody knew at these challenges. Vidnia, Meta launched an important report quantifying the potential economic impact of the metaverse together with Deloitte. I believe it was done a year ago or 2 years ago, I believe. And I noticed that your market for virtual reality, augmented reality reached an estimated 7 billion in 2021. And is projected to grow to 34 billions in 2026. So it's kind of big. Also, the EU might see an increased economic opportunity as much as 200 billion to 48.9 billion euros in GDP by 2035. So this is not little. I mean, the potential for Europe in this case and this analysis, it was huge. What is the potential for our region? How do you see harnessing from this potential, this opportunity?
I think some of these numbers show that actually the metaverse is already here, right? It's even though that you might not see it in your everyday life. I think that there's a big misconception that that metaverse is Web3, is Web4, is blockchain, is crypto. You have to have VR glasses to experience it. All of these different, conditions are actually not necessary for you to be already experiencing the metaverse. You can use your mobile device to access the metaverse, and you can use your computer, to be in these immersive spaces of learning. There are real use cases that are happening in Europe right now. Even if we just look in Romania, there's a immersive language learning app, Mondly, or if you go to Estonia, there's you can experience the wood fire sauna in VR. And these are just small little applications. But we do believe that all these technologies are really going to define what the future will look like of the internet. But there's also some challenges, and if we as Europe, or even more specifically CEE, want to benefit from that, we really need to get behind also policy-wise, because not all policymakers get it, that we need this innovation in Europe. If you look at top 10 global companies, I think the number for Europe is 0.
Yes.
If you look at private quantum computers, 50% of them are in the US, 40% of them are in China, and in the EU, 0. We're not doing so well in Europe. I think CEE, and this is why we're a little bit special, Central and Eastern Europe, because we have this passion in ourselves to prove something of us, to really put ourselves on the map and saying, look, I'm a small Estonia, but I can have most unicorns per person in the world. And that's cool. And I really think this is where CEE's strength lies. We have smart people, we have policymakers who get it, and I'm hoping that they can really take a stance, because this is what we need also on a European level. If we're talking about CEE's power, this is where our power lies. The fact that we believe in innovation in CEE, the fact that we see the need for these sort of technologies to really uplift our countries. So it's really time to speak up on the EU level, because not all politicians over there get that. And we really see that overregulation is actually harming people right now. We haven't really seen the cost of regulation up until now so much. I mean, okay, we had a cookie banner, okay, but these days we're really seeing an actual cost. Some products are not being launched in the EU. When you see, the Google's Bard or the Microsoft Copilot, delayed rolling out. There's some products that just will never launch in the EU, but will only stay in other countries like Asia, other regions like Asia and America. So that's something we need to think about, that we need to take also more of a political stance, and that's one way how we can ensure that these technologies work for us.
Yeah, because it's a good opportunity and to burn a lot of steps and to be on this space. Thomas, you briefly presented the metaverse potential, and you both presented in terms of economic development, and Vinya just mentioned that we are somehow nowhere right now. How do you see how the countries in the region can better coordinate between them? Because I see that there's a lot of potential for collaboration here, not working at separate countries to build solutions, but also to have a broader conversation around this potential of the metaverse. How do you see it?
Well, we are currently in the situation where we are lacking ecosystem. We have those very cool implementations here and there. There is this virtual park in Zagreb. There is a digital twin in Riga. There is this cool application for human body exploration. There is another one for fixing cars. This is what is called the islands of excellence, but they are islands. They are not even archipelago. There is no connection between those. There is this project, it's cool, there is a media frenzy about it, and that's about it. People do not meet, people do not talk that much. Not only within region, even within countries. That's pretty unusual. We are currently conducting a series of meetings in CEE, one taking place here today. And those people in most cases see each other for the first time, despite of the fact they are dealing with metaverse for the last couple of years. This is deeply disturbing. Not to mention the need to connect those people on the at least regional level. Only then there could be attempts to do what Vinya is saying, to create certain level of influence, first to educate the politicians, because let's face it, 99.9% of them do not know what actually AI, metaverse, blockchain is. And then, of course, the natural reaction from the unknown is the defensive position, which ends up in overregulation. So that's something that needs to be done. Who is going to educate those people? Who is going to educate the public about, on one hand, opportunities, but also dangers of those technologies? Well, only those people that are actually dabbling with those technologies right now. But to do it, they need to do it into coherent manner. And then when we have this level of awareness, we can think about what we want, what do we don't want, how should it be regulated so that our companies profit from those technologies and are not harmed by crippling regulations that sometimes appear. But this needs understanding and ecosystem.
Yeah, because it's a fine line between the competitivity that Europe wants, the region, of course, wants, and the need for regulation. So it needs to be a balanced. And I noticed that once you don't understand the technology and the possibilities of technology, you tend to break this competitivity, as Vidya was mentioning, in spite of, just being safer on that side. Vidya, I'll move to you. We worked together on Aspen Institute Romania and we started a high-level conversation in Bucharest in September, which we hope to lead to a metaverse strategy in Romania. But having this broader picture that you have on the region, what would be the key aspects to recommend to consider in this effort that countries should put in such a strategy? It's helpful for us, but I believe it's helpful for all the others. What are the key elements to be there?
Well, first of all, the national strategy, I think, is a good idea, because that really lets you and all the relevant stakeholders, first of all, to map the relevant stakeholders, who's affected by this and who could benefit from this and where the opportunities lie, and then really be able to look deeply in that topic and afterwards present a report that can be used, that first of all gives a clear guideline to the industry as to what the government is thinking about this, where they are planning to invest the resources, how they see this going, and that gives them a clear a clear roadmap. So does the investors. The investors also get a big heads up from a national strategy, because they know that if they're invest in something, how that will look like and how that's going to develop in the future. That's not just going to disappear. And of course also for the governments, because they understand really the more of the priorities of what's going on. I think some of the aspects that really need to be taken into account is the fact that research and development is so important, and you just need to keep investing in that, and everybody needs to invest in that. Some of these technologies that we are talking about and how metaverse will look like in the future is deeply connected to future technology that's not yet available, like really true augmented reality glasses. We just don't have that, but that's what everybody is waiting for, I would say. So how do we make that happen? What do we need to have true augmented reality glasses? So we need a certain type of engineers, right? So what we can start thinking is about recruiting those, creating programs, recruiting professors, creating programs for those specific types of engineers. We can also think about where do we need to invest postgraduate programs. So actually a few weeks ago we met with the Polytechnic University here in Bucharest. One of the big problems they told us is that we have so many talented students, but the work goes nowhere. They produce all these innovative solutions, but they all stop at the idea phase, because there's not enough investment, there's not enough support from public funds and private funds to actually then launch these cool products. So that's one area for sure. And I think the facilitation of ecosystem is also very important. And here I'm really talking about the ecosystem within the country and the knowledge sharing. I think the Romanian government is doing a good job of trying to include the private industry. Like, this is quite, exemplary effort in the region, because I covered Central and Eastern Europe, so I can have this sort of overview, and I can tell that there's a really good effort. I think some of the action points can still be missing a little bit when we're talking about these innovation, but it's a good starting point. We just need to continue to develop and foster relationships between different stakeholders, public, private, academic, and keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and I saw also an opportunity to connect the national priorities to the strategy for a metaverse. We have on work in progress in a strategy for AI, as we discussed yesterday. So the two of them, it's a good opportunity to connect to the national priorities and said, look, we can work on AI to solve education, solve healthcare. We can work with the metaverse strategy to solve. And I was amazed, and we were amazed together, to look at how many solutions there already are in place, how many companies are doing this in Romania and the region. So it's a huge potential. But this potential once again, and you tackle a little bit on that, it's about the awareness around the subject. And for the general public, if you say metaverse, it's just some eyewear that you put it on, some glasses that you put on, some, I don't know, headset that this is the metaverse. So how, and I'm back to Tomas, how can we make this, so how can we make people and politicians and of course decision makers to understand better what's possible there?
Well, the traditional way of doing is that our children will teach us, yes? So,
Great. Great way.
so basically that's how it's working for me to a degree, to be honest. But of course we need much more coordinated effort than that. And here we are talking about the very wide need for the educational action. And I'm not talking only about how to educate kids. As I said, they are probably the best educated of all groups, which is having its own challenges, to be honest. But we need to educate teachers about the emerging technologies, including the metaverse, so they can teach those children how to use them responsibly. We have to educate politicians, as I've mentioned, about what those technologies are and what they are not, because we have more misinformation than actual information in the space. And unfortunately, there is no other way of doing it than the experts dealing with that, trying to figure out certain base of knowledge that can be safely transferred. Whether it's going to be something very formal, that it's a program that is certified on the EU level or whatever else, or it's local production of civil society that is working together with those companies. That, of course, all depends on how we want to approach it. But the information is needed, and it needs to be provided into accessible level, preferably in the metaverse itself. Yeah? So you can experience what you are actually learning about. So the places where you can actually, if you're interested, go and experience something. You put on the glasses, the headset, or whatever else, so it's not something like a Yeti that you've heard a lot about but never actually seen yourself. And but that requires a lot of effort from the ecosystem that doesn't exist yet, as I said. So that's another part of the problem.
Some will laugh that on the parliamentary level, if they have the glasses on, they can sleep better behind them. But I will leave that apart. Vidnia, what I was noticed also, and we'll end up with this discussion about democracy is going to follow on the stage. And I was looking at this particular topic on metaverse, that is a space that if we don't fill it with information, with awareness around the possibilities of technology, other will fill it with conspiracy theories and what the doomsday is going to bring. How we're going to do it from your perspective, also in increasing awareness or filling this space with good examples and what really can help people, this technology?
I think first we need something that people actually want to use. So as much as it's cool to have little startups, the big businesses have a large role to play, right? So I think it's about big industries coming together, big businesses coming together, making partnerships, and that's something that I know that, you know, everybody in the industry is trying to achieve. That will make the policymakers listen, because it's inevitable, you know, if the industry is pushing for something, that the government has to listen and will listen and maybe see, well, maybe there's some value. You know, if our experts in the industry are uppicking this, maybe there's something we can use also in the public sector. And you know, I think yesterday what was mentioned on this forum is that before, all the big inventions were created by the public sector, and now all the big inventions are created by the private sector. So I think that is probably how it's going to stay also with AI, also with the metaverse. However, that doesn't mean that governments and policymakers don't have a role to play. They have a huge role to play, you know, of embracing these technologies, of actually showing that they too use them and they too want to integrate them into their systems. If, for example, hate to say Estonia again, you know, but they just have so many good examples. They have, you know, they're working on this immersive assistant bureaucrat that will be able to integrate with different platforms and help citizens do the boring bureaucratic tasks online and, you know, in like going forward, help in an immersive way to those who maybe struggle with just doing it themselves. So it's one step, but it could be the decisive step to actually more people uppicking this technology.
I'll end up in this positive note. Thank you so much for being with us today. In your applause, I will once again thank you for making the time and be with us. Thanks.